What's going on, guys? Welcome back into the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. I'm your host, Mike Tagliere, back with you guys for another Sunday morning live stream. Today's going to be a little bit of different episode, guys. I just want you guys to understand that we're always trying to evolve and change and do things that we can to benefit those around us, those who are less fortunate. And one of those things that we're going to be doing today is we are going to be starting this new feature called Super Chats. 100% of the proceeds that we're going to do through Super Chats is going to go towards a charity. This week, it's going all donations that are made on the stream today, they're all going to be going directly to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. It's one of my favorite charities. We're going to be doing something like this every single week. So basically, what I want to make sure is I want to thank everyone for donating beforehand. If you haven't, I know there's a few people that have already. Thank you guys so much. We are going to try and answer every single Super Chat question that comes through. Those are going to be given priority in the chat. Obviously, thanking you guys for doing that. At the same time, you do not feel you need to donate to this in order to get a question answered. I'm going to answer as many as I can today, whether it be through you guys, doesn't matter at all. Nothing changes for you guys. We just want you guys to know that we're going to be prioritizing those a little bit because we want to thank those who are going to donate to the special charity. So thank you guys so much for being here. As always, what we do on Sunday mornings is we typically go through the injuries, and I let you guys know basically the players that are out, the players that you need to know about. It's really it's a weird week for injuries. I'm just going to run through them really quick because, again, I can't spend all the time in the world on them. I want to get to your questions, but understand this. The players that are absolutely 100% out this week are Michael Thomas, Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, Cam Akers, James White, Henry Ruggs, Christian Kirk, A.J. Brown, George Kittle, Alshon Jeffrey, Jamison Crowder, Brashad Perriman, Zach Moss, Christian McCaffrey, Le'Veon Bell, Jalen Reagor, and Sterling Shepard. Wow. It's like a full paragraph on players that are out today. Those guys are out. Highly questionable. Unlikely to play. Devonta Adams, Duke Johnson, Phillip Lindsay. Julio Jones is considered a game-time decision. It's not looking promising for him, to be honest with you. And Devonta Adams is a guy that plays, obviously, in prime time. So I'm not going to recommend waiting on him. He's ruled as doubtful. I am taking him out of my lineups unless I have someone else going in that game. Like if you want to wait and you're comfortable going with like a Traquan Smith, that's fine. But I would not be trusting. I don't think Devonta Adams is going to be out there for the game. So that's where we're at. I don't want to spend too much time on that because, again, I know you guys have tons of questions. But I'm going to get started. There's a few questions in the chat already from, let me start with those who have made donations. $5 donation from Shackless99. Thank you so much for the donation. Half PPR Flex, Cooper Kupp, Russell Gage, Joshua Kelly, or Melvin Gordon. I'm also starting Eckler, FYI. I'm gonna go in a half PPR. I think I want to lean Kupp here. I know it's a difficult matchup against the Bills. Typically a tough defense to throw the ball against. But Tre'Davious White is probably going to be covering Robert Woods for the majority of the time, and I don't want to. I don't want to attack that matchup, obviously, and if the Rams are smart, they're going to go with Cooper Kupp in the slot. And if you look at since the start of last year, the 5 biggest matchups that the Bills have allowed have gone to slot-heavy wide receivers. So I definitely do like Cooper Kupp quite a bit. Russell Gage is fine as a floor option. Joshua Kelly is someone I do like a lot today, more than Melvin Gordon. Cooper Kupp or Joshua Kelly, that's my answer there. I'd probably lean Kupp just because, again, I don't want to take too much away from a two-game sample size from someone like Joshua Kelly, but I do like him as an RB2 this week. All right, let's see. Nicole Goet, $5 donation. Thank you, Nicole. Start Woods, Marquis Brown, or Deshaun Jackson in a full PPR. Thank you. I'm gonna go the boom bust and everything in between this week. I want to play Marquise Brown. The Chiefs are already without one of their starting cornerbacks to suspension. The other starting perimeter cornerback, Charvarius Ward, is dealing with a fracture in his hand. He did not play last week. I don't know if he's going to play this week, but either way, it's not great for that Chiefs secondary. So Marquise Brown is the one. He does come with some boom bust potential there, but at the same time, you look at Robert Woods against Tre'Davious White, don't like that matchup, and then you go to Deshaun Jackson, who hasn't really done anything through 2 weeks. He's another boom bust player, but I think I'm going to go Marquise Brown in what's projected to be one of the highest scoring games in the slate. Let's see. Christopher asks, half PPR, 3 receivers in a flex, AJ Green, Robbie Anderson, John Brown, Deshaun Jackson. Holy cow, there is a lot there to get through. Christopher, if you guys, please, can you narrow them down? Definitely want to keep it to 3-4 players max. This is basically setting a lineup, which is, it's difficult to do because I'm trying to get through as many of these as I can. But looking really quick, I mean, Joshua Kelly's got to be played, so he's your flex, and then you need 3 wide receivers from that. Yeah, I'd play Joshua Kelly over Mike Davis, but then the 3 wide receivers would be, so it'd be Deshaun Jackson, it would be A.J. Green, and probably Robbie Anderson for me. That's the route I'd go there. John Lamer asked, a $5 donation, Burrow or Carson Wentz in a 6-point passing touchdown league. I'm going to go with Carson Wentz this week. I know a lot of people are down on him, but again, he had 2 bad weeks. It's okay. That stuff's going to happen. But lining up against Cincinnati, a team that has struggled to defend wide receivers deep, we saw Odell Beckham continually get behind that secondary last week, and it was some holding penalties. He did get loose for a touchdown. Deshaun Jackson can stretch the field. They've also struggled with tight ends. Still down Sean Williams, their starting safety. They have 3 new linebackers this year. There's a lot of things going on with Cincinnati, so the Bengals tight ends should be really, really busy in this game. I do expect Carson Wentz to have a solid game and better than Joe Burrow, because if you look at Burrow and the matchups he has, Tyler Boyd in the slot against Nickel Roby-Coleman, don't like that matchup at all. He came over from Los Angeles. He's a phenomenal slot cornerback, and I don't know why they moved on from him. Then you look at Darius Slay, who's also going to be covering. He's going to be lining up with A.J. Green. So it's not great. Then you're looking at John Ross and T. Higgins as guys to step up, or even maybe a Drew Sample. So I'm going to go with Carson Wentz here. I just feel like the matchup is better for him. 10-ball GOAT. Let's see. Pick one, the standard. Flex, Kareem Hunt, Antonio Gibson, or Michael Gallup. I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt here. You have to go with projected game script, and it seems like when the Browns are when they win the game, and they're favored to win this game by a full touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, they're going to get Kareem Hunt 12-plus touches. And when he's getting 12-plus touches, he's been fantastic. Antonio Gibson wasn't involved heavily in the game plan to begin last week. They did involve him more. I do expect that to continue, but again, there's some uncertainty. That team's not going to have a whole lot of scoring opportunities, so I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt there. Gallup comes with upside, sure, but 10 targets through 2 weeks is not great. All right, let's see. David Gola asks, flex PPR, Gibson or Deshaun Jackson? I'm probably going to play it safe here with Antonio Gibson. Again, I just mentioned his role is growing in the offense, and we saw him, especially over the second half, where, he kind of grew into that role. Peyton Barber got 1 touch last week. J.D. McKissick is really nothing to worry about. Antonio Gibson, if you go back and watch like NFL Game Pass, I watched that game again. Antonio Gibson's the running back you should own in that backfield, and it should become more apparent as the weeks go on. So if you're going to get 12-plus touches out of a running back or Deshaun Jackson in a PPR, I'm probably just going to go with the running back because I want those guaranteed touches. I don't know how many shots the Eagles need to take downfield this week. Let's see. Posner asked, Hawkinson or Hearst? I have Hearst slightly higher, especially with Julio Jones potentially out for this game. I think Julio Jones is probably going to miss. We don't know that for certain, but what I'm going to say is that I'm just going to say Hayden Hearst is where I'm going. Hawkinson, he's done fantastic. He's caught every single target that's been thrown his way to this point. That game does have a massive over-under. He torched that Arizona defense. It was actually the first game of his NFL career. He torched them last year, and he basically didn't do anything after that. And then he had like the most inefficient year for a tight end of all time. So you move on to this year. Arizona has done better against tight ends, but I don't want to say it's because of Isaiah Simmons, because Simmons has been out there and he's made 3 tackles thus far. He hasn't made a massive impact. So I don't want to say that's the reason, but I'm just more worried about Hawkinson's targets than I am Hearst, because especially with Julio Jones looking like he's not going to play. Bruce, love the stream. Russell Gage or Marvin Jones. Now this all comes down to what you're looking for in your team, Bruce. If I'm looking for stability and I just want a player to get me, if this is a PPR format, if you're looking for a guy that's going to get you 10 plus PPR points, you just want a floor, I think Russell Gage is the guy. If you're looking for upside, it's Marvin Jones. Kenny Galladay coming back. I don't think Arizona's going to shadow with Patrick Peterson, but if they do, it would be Galladay, which would mean that we'd get Dre Kirkpatrick covering Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones could win that matchup. So I would say Marvin Jones has the higher ceiling, especially when it comes to touchdowns, but Russell Gage is the safer play. Let's see. Ken asked Woods or Galladay, full PPR. I am going to play Galladay. I think I'm going to take the risk with Galladay. I mean, there's risk with Woods matching up with Tre'Davious White. That's a brutal matchup for any wide receiver. So why not take the upside? If Kenny Galladay is 100% against that Arizona secondary, he can put up points. So I'm actually going to take the risk with Galladay there. Nicholas asked, Kenny Galladay or Corey Davis? I'd play Galladay. Similar reasons. I mean, Corey Davis, I don't think that team throws a whole lot. You got to look at that Detroit game and say, what the hell happened? Because all of a sudden that total is up to like 56 points, a 55 or 56 point over-under. That's massive, which means there's going to be a lot of fantasy points to be had in that game. Clint asked, full PPR, pick 3. Hunt, Lamb, Kelly, Boyd, Gage. Holy cow. I'm going to play Kareem Hunt for sure. And then you're going to have to sit to the other ones. Let's see. Kareem Hunt's going to be in the lineup. Joshua Kelly's going to be in the lineup. So then it comes down to one more between CeeDee Lamb, Tyler Boyd, and Russell Gage. I'm going to play CeeDee Lamb there. In that game against Seattle, it's again, that one I think is up to 56.5 points, or maybe even 57, the over-under in that game. A whole lot of fantasy points going to be scored. Seattle has struggled with slot wide receivers. That's where CeeDee Lamb is playing almost all of his snaps. Let me get to some more questions here. Thank you guys so much, by the way, for those of you who have donated to the St. Jude's cause. We definitely appreciate it. 100%. Like, this is not going to Fantasy Pros. It's not going to me. It's none of that. It's all going to St. Jude's. So thank you guys so much for the donations. It means a lot. We definitely want to answer your questions, and it's not required that you donate. I'm going to go through the chat right now and try and answer some questions for you guys. Ryan Slaughter asked, Montgomery or Hunt PPR? I am going to play. I have Kareem Hunt, I think, slightly higher, but Montgomery is in the same territory. Montgomery doesn't catch a whole lot of passes, but he should catch 2 to 3 of them against an Atlanta Falcons defense that under Dan Quinn has really, really struggled to stop pass-catching running backs. Tariq Cohen I do like a little bit this week, but we have to have Atlanta to put the game out of reach for the Bears, for them to play in that comeback mode for Tariq Cohen to really go off. So David Montgomery, in a somewhat neutral game script, he should get a lot of touches. I think Kareem Hunt comes with a little bit more upside in PPR formats. So I would say Montgomery might be a safer floor, but Hunt has slightly higher upside. I think I have Hunt. I'm going to look at it just to make sure. I have Hunt. Yes, I have Hunt 2 spots higher, so I'm not like crazy. You would want to go with your gut on that one, but I think Hunt is the one I would play. McLaurin or CeeDee Lamb for Mason, full PPR. I am going to play Terry McLaurin. Not only do the Browns have not a great back half of that defense, but Denzel Ward is someone who's highly questionable for this week, and if he were to miss this game, they'd be down their top 2 cornerbacks because Greedy Williams is still out. Terry McLaurin would definitely be my play there. Let's see. Jacob asked, Zach asks, Hayden Hurst or Zach Ertz full PPR. I'm playing Ertz. Ertz he's a great play this week. I think Goddard's a good play as well. I have them both as top 6 tight ends this week, and I said it on the podcast. I believe that you can set the over-under on those guys. You can set it at 16 targets. I think that's fair. And Dallas Goedert's someone who has seen at least 6 targets in each of his last 9 games, at least 8 targets in each of his last 4 games. But Zach Ertz is still getting those targets. The reason that those targets have come is because they're missing Alshon Jeffrey. Now they're missing Jalen Reagor. They really don't have anybody opposite Sean Jackson that's worthy of getting more than a couple targets. So I do like Ertz quite a bit, and I'm going to play him. DK Press, choose a receiver and flex for half PPR. Galladay, CeeDee Lamb, David Montgomery, and Antonio Gibson. All right, let's see here. I am definitely going to play Montgomery in the flex. I'll play Montgomery over Gibson, and so the wide receiver comes down to Galladay or CeeDee Lamb. Ooh, this one's tough because Galladay, obviously coming off the hamstring, it's not like a situation where he's coming off a concussion where you really do believe that he's 100%. Like, you don't have to worry about a player coming out like Chris Godwin this week. You don't have to worry about him. But coming off a hamstring, a multi-week hamstring, and he was limited in practice throughout the week. I really wish I would have seen him get in a full practice. That might lean me enough to go with CeeDee Lamb just because he's a little bit safer. But I do think that Galladay might present a little bit more upside. But I'd probably play it safe, knowing that you do have a solid alternate plan in CeeDee Lamb. That's where I'd go. Let's see here. Cody asked Hunter Henry or Dallas Goedert. I have Goddard higher this week. I do. I don't know how much the Chargers need to pass the ball this game because with Justin Herbert back under center, Anthony Lynn clearly just wants to walk away with the win no matter what, even if it comes down to bashing his quarterback. They're going to run the ball all over Carolina. I don't expect a whole lot of pass attempts. So Hunter Henry is a little down the totem pole, whereas Dallas Goedert, again, he's a guy that I would project in this game for 7 or 8 targets, which is hard to find a tight end. Aiden asked Marquise Brown or Deontay Johnson full PPR. Thanks. All right, so I'm going to go with Deontay Johnson. I'm going to explain why. not only does he have a 31.5% target share, he's produced with those targets, okay? Ben Roethlisberger is still getting, the wind back under his wings and whatnot. But Deontay Johnson has proven to be like the 1A, 1B with Juju Smith-Schuster. And honestly, Johnson's been the number one so far. But the reason that I'm playing him over Brown is because people want to play Marquis Brown. They say you can't bench him because of the upside that he presents every single week. I think we get that with Deontay Johnson too, and we also get a safer floor because his quarterback obviously throws a lot more. His target share is higher. There's a much higher floor with Deontay Johnson than there is with someone like Marquise Brown, who, like Marquise Brown's quarterback, Lamar Jackson, targeted wide receivers, I think 13 or 14 times last week. That goes back to what he was doing a lot in 2019. Do I think that happens against the Chiefs? No, I don't. But is it possible? Yeah, it really is. So I'm going to play Deontay Johnson of those two. Let's see. All right. So Marty Schultz asks, Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, CeeDee Lamb, and Joshua Kelly have to start a wide receiver in flex dealing with both Steelers wide receivers. Thoughts? I still have Juju Smith-Schuster slightly ahead of Deontay Johnson. It's not a crazy gap, though. It's really not. The gap is shrinking between those two guys. I have Juju at 13. I have Deontay Johnson at 15. So I would go there. And then I would play both of them over CeeDee Lamb, so he's out of the question. And then it comes to Joshua Kelly. Do you start him in the flex over the other Steelers wide receiver? I don't think so. I think I would play Juju and Deontay Johnson here. Because, again, Deontay, the guaranteed touches, the floor is there. Juju Smith-Schuster, it's really hard to bench in this matchup. So don't think that just because teams haven't gone bananas with their wide receivers against Houston, it's that they can't. It's just that they haven't needed to. James Conner should have himself a really, really good day. But just wait for a little bit. Don't panic. I'm gonna play the Steelers wide receivers. A guy who plays video games, Leonard Fournette or John Brown at flex, half PPR. So I'm not really a big fan of John Brown's matchups against the Rams this week. It's the first tough matchup that we're going to see out of Josh Allen this season. And while he has played excellent, so have the Rams cornerbacks. We saw them pretty much, I don't want to say shut down the Cowboys wide receivers, but they did pretty much as you can shut them down. Like Amari Cooper caught 10 balls for, it was like 81 yards though. So Jalen Ramsey kept the ball in front of him. So John Brown, I'm going to play Leonard Fournette. I don't think that he's a lock for production. I've talked with Dan about this on our podcast, and Dan is of the mindset that he starts Leonard Fournette as an RB2 this week. I think him and Ronald Jones are both stuck in RB3 territory. I've come around to the idea that it's possible that Fournette does have a bigger role, but I don't think that they've simply just given him that job yet. I think it's almost like a Peyton Barber, Ronald Jones thing from last year, and it's unfortunate. So, yeah, I'm going to play Fournette and hope for the best, man. Let's see. Yvette Vargas, Antonio Gibson, Deshaun Jackson, Robbie Anderson, PPR flex. Give me the guaranteed touches with Antonio Gibson. So Robbie Anderson, the matchup against the Chargers is not very good. It's not. They have one of the best cornerback duos in the league out there. Can he get behind a defense? Sure. But if you look at the Chargers last year, I think that they were a team that allowed just 5 plays of 40-plus passing yards last year, which was, I think, ranked like the 5th best in the NFL. So they didn't allow players to get behind their defense very often. I just feel like that's going to be a slower-paced game for the Chargers. I think they just want to walk away with the win. I'm a little worried about Anderson there. Deshaun Jackson, it's the same thing, right? Like boom-bust potential, probably a higher target floor than someone like Robbie Anderson against the Bengals because he is really the only legitimate wide receiver on that team. But Antonio Gibson, again, a guy that's locked into 12-plus touches. Maybe doesn't play for the best offense, but against the Browns, it's not the best defense either. Mirko asks, half PPR, Jonnu Smith or Evan Ingram. I don't think you could split Jonnu Smith right now. I don't think you can do it. He's just playing too well. With A.J. Brown out for another week, the target floor should rise. Not to say that target floor is high, but it should rise, and he's been extremely efficient. Minnesota did struggle, obviously, last week to slow down Mo Alley Cox, so I'm going to play Jonnu Smith over Evan Ingram, even though Ingram, I'm not particularly low on him this week because the 49ers defense is not the same. Edmund Timpano, full PPR flex. Let's see. Ingram, Mike Williams, Malcolm Brown. Ingram, 100%. I love Mark Ingram this week. I actually think that he's being undervalued by the analyst community. I have him at RB 15 this week. I love him against Kansas City. I think you play him, absolutely. All right, let's see. Brandon, flex appeal, half PPR, pick 2. AJ Green, Darrell Henderson, Tariq Cohen, and Hunter Henry. I think we have to play Darrell Henderson with Cam Akers out. It's going to be a timeshare with him and Malcolm Brown, but don't forget that Brown has a broken pinky, so that can affect that. I'm going to play Henderson just for the guaranteed touches. Tariq Cohen has not seen anything close to what I would consider guaranteed touches. AJ Green with a tough matchup against Darius Slay. That he has been getting the targets. Eventually, that's going to work out. It's going to pan out. Hunter Henry in a low volume game. Me personally, I'm probably just going to say AJ Green. I'm gonna trot him out there. Hope he gets those targets again. He does well. And then Darrell Henderson. Jay Laveman, half PPR flex, Dallas Goddard or Mike Davis. That's another tough one. Because the matchup against the Chargers is a brutal one. You look at week 1, they didn't allow a single running back to score 10 PPR points. Last week, it was Clyde Edwards-Helaire who scored just 13 PPR points. So I don't want to say Mike Davis has a massive ceiling or anything like that, but he does have guaranteed touches. Dallas Goddard should have minimum 6 targets in this game. This one's tough. I'm probably going to roll with the running back because he is a 3-down back. He saw 8 targets last week when Christian McCaffrey went down, so he should have plenty of targets in that game. So I guess I'll take Mike Davis, but it is closer than people think. Carlos asked, how do you feel about Mooney as a desperation flex? It might work out. I mean, he's still mixing up snaps with like Ted Ginn was inactive last week. I don't know if he's going to be active this week. We should be getting inactives here shortly. Javon Wims is still getting some snaps. I don't really want to trust one of the Bears if I can help it. He is technically the 3rd best Bears wide receiver that you'd want to start, but I don't feel great about him. Thomas D asked, Chase Edmonds or Frank Gore in PPR? Could I choose neither? I'm going to play Chase Edmonds here for sure. I mean, in a game that's got that crazy over-under, Detroit has really, really struggled to stop anything. I mean, they're basically just it's like a turnstile, letting running backs just walk right through that defensive line. So I'd play Chase Edmonds and just hope for the upside because Frank Gore, the ceiling is the same as his floor. Unite Santini, Josh Kelly, or Diggs, half PPR with bonus points for long yardage plays. I'm going to play Josh Kelly this week. I understand the bonus points and all that, but Diggs is going to be covered by Jalen Ramsey. Ramsey might allow some catches in his coverage, but he doesn't really allow you to get over the top on him. And that's what we saw with Amari Cooper. He just struggled to get over the top, and that's why he just ended up with a lot of short receptions. Not to say that Diggs can't rack up some yards or receptions in this game, but I don't see it big. I'm going to go with Josh Kelly. Meximic, Standard League, start Higbee or Jonnu Smith. Dang it, I keep screwing that up. I'm going to go Tyler Higbee here because, again, if you look at Robert Woods, the matchup that he has, it's the same reason that I liked Tyler Higbee last week. You look at Robert Woods facing one of the best cornerbacks in the league. Tre'Davious White might be the best cornerback in the league. It's going to remove a lot of the production that he has that they typically lean on. So Higbee is a guy that I would definitely go to there. Jonnu Smith has been extremely efficient. The target floor should be up with A.J. Brown on the lineup, but I think I have to go Higbee there. Jacob asks, flex, half PPR, Joshua Kelly, Fournette, or Galladay. I'm going to go Joshua Kelly of those options. Again, I don't really trust Fournette just yet. If anything, he's a high variance RB3, whereas Joshua Kelly, I have him as a mid to low end RB2 this week. And then Galladay just comes with a bit too much risk to play over the running backs. Evan asked, Woods, Diggs, Robinson, or Juju need to start 2 in a full PPR? You're definitely going to start Juju and Allen Robinson. Those are my 2 right there. Allen Robinson, if you don't play him this week, I mean, the dude's going to go off. This is a game where the Falcons are down two of their cornerbacks that they have in the secondary, Kendall Sheffield and then A.J. Terrell, the rookie. This is a matchup where Matt Nagy, I've seen this before, and if the Falcons really can't stop the pass, the Bears will keep throwing the ball because Mitch Trubisky needs confidence, and Matt Nagy wants to build it in him. I've seen this happen before. Like, I'm a Bears fan. I'm not a homer. I will tell you that this is one of the worst 2-0 teams that I've seen, but I do know how Matt Nagy operates in these situations, and if the Falcons can't stop the pass, they're going to keep going to it. Let's see. Working my way through. Philip asked, PPR Julio or AJ Green? I mean, I think this decision is going to be made for you, Philip. I don't think that Julio Jones is going to play. If he does play, I think you have to play him over AJ because AJ, even though he's not technically injured, he has looked like he's trying to make it back from being away from football for a year at 32 years old. Like, there's not a bigger AJ Green fan than me over the course of his career. Like, I've stood up and I've said that he's such an underappreciated wide receiver. However, he has not looked great the first 2 weeks, and now he has a matchup with Darius Slay. So it's not like we can pretend, oh, it's guaranteed production. It's not. So if Julio plays, I have to go with him, but it's risky regardless. Ariel Fernandez asked, choose 2 wide receivers, OBJ, DJ Moore, and Deontay Johnson. I have Odell and Deontay above DJ Moore this week, and I think that's different than the consensus opinion, but DJ Moore is going to draw Casey Hayward in coverage. That is a brutal matchup. It's terrible. It's not good. I would prefer, like, those are the matchups, like when you have matchups with those type of cornerbacks, you want to downgrade them, and Odell and Deontay Johnson don't have that. They don't have those tough matchups this week, so use it to be your tiebreaker. Russ asks, Robert Woods or Joshua Kelly, half PPR flex. I am playing Joshua Kelly over Robert Woods this week. Alyssa asks, Dion Lewis or Todd Gurley, or any sleeper number 3 running back. Todd Gurley would definitely be the choice for me. And there's not the biggest sleeper that I could say this week is if you guys are really struggling to look for someone that's, out there in the waiver wire and I put out an article on Saturdays. It's called Weekend Waiver Wire Stashes. And, I was surprised to see Jeff Wilson still out there in a lot of leagues. I think Jeff Wilson is the best 49ers running back this week. And again, Dan and I argued about that on the podcast, but I think Dan's come around to realize, like, I could be right. And I think that he doesn't want to admit it, but I do believe that he's a good one. But I would still play Todd Gurley over Dion Lewis and over Jeff Wilson. Thad Harvey asked PPR, Mahomes or Josh Allen. I would play Mahomes. I mean, I know it's a tough matchup, but if you go back to the last time that he played against Baltimore, he did actually really well. And he did really well without Tyreek Hill. He didn't have Tyreek Hill in that game. So I think Mahomes shows up on the big stages, and that's why you play him. All right, let's see. Christopher asks, Christopher just wanted to say thank you. Hey, thank you guys so much for being here with us. We greatly appreciate it. If you haven't yet, please click the like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're here for you guys every single Sunday morning. We have Dan doing the Instagram Live. It's from 10 to 11 Eastern Time. Then I'm on here from 11 to 12 Eastern Time. And then Yates is going to come on right after me. And he's going to be doing a full hour for you guys, taking some sit-start questions. And again, today we are doing this thing with the Super Chat. We're trying to raise some money for charity, seemingly every week. So this week it is for St. Jude's Children's Hospital, and one of my favorite charities out there. So if you guys are able to donate, great. If you're not, that's okay too. We're still going to be here talking football with you guys. So thank you guys. And thanks again, Christopher. Really appreciate it. Mark Izzard, half PPR flex spot, David Montgomery, Robert Woods, or DJ Moore. I'm going to play David Montgomery. Give me the guaranteed touches. Moore and Woods matched against 2 of the best corners in the league this week. Not to say that they can't produce, but there's nothing guaranteed about that. There is something guaranteed about David Montgomery getting 15 touches. Kevin Balderas, extra flex spot, full PPR. Jonnu Smith, Antonio Gibson, or Russell Gage. I'm going to go with Antonio Gibson. Again, we haven't seen him take on the role that he probably will earn as the year goes on, but we have seen that his role increase over the weeks, and I would say that he is locked into 12-plus touches this week. So anytime you get that, you're going to start it over a tight end, even if that tight end is extremely efficient, like Jonnu Smith. And then Russell Gage. Russell Gage is tempting for sure, but the Bears' Buster Skrine has actually been relatively good in the slot ever since he joined the team at the beginning of last year. So I don't think it's the greatest matchup for him. I think it would have been a better matchup for Julio. He'd have been going against the rookie Jalen Johnson. So I guess we'll see about that. But I'd play Antonio Gibson there. Yes, sir. Non-PPR at my flex. McKinnon, Hollywood, or Woods, half PPR my flex. All right. So let's see. Non-PPR, my flex, McKinnon, Hollywood, or Woods. I would play Hollywood of those options. I don't think any of them are guaranteed big production this week. I would say that the one with the biggest ceiling, though, is Hollywood. And then half PPR, my flex, Ingram or Kenny Galladay. I'd play Ingram. Again, I have Ingram as a top 15 running back this week. I went through and looked at the matchups last year. So Mark Ingram has not received like a big giant workload. Like they haven't done that with the Ravens. I think he had 1 or 2 games over 15 carries last year, which is obviously not great workhorse material. But if you look at his like 3 top games that he had in terms of carries, they were all against teams that was like really good competition. So basically they went to him more when there was a team that they really felt like it was going to be a close game, competitive. And I feel like that's the case here with the Chiefs. So I'm going to play Mark Ingram. I'm going to trust him. And the Chiefs defense, the run defense is terrible. Let's see. Don asks flex in a full PPR. Fournette, AJ Green, or David Johnson. I'm going to play David Johnson there. It seems like Duke Johnson's going to be out again. I don't love the matchup against Pittsburgh. It's actually probably the worst for a running back, but David Johnson's getting 100% of the touches in that backfield like he did last week. So you're looking at 15-plus touches. In a PPR, especially in a full PPR, you're just guaranteed a lot of work there. Fournette, you're not. He's not highly involved in the passing game. We don't even know if he's going to be the 1A to Ronald Jones's 1B. And then AJ Green, tough matchup with Darius Slay. So I'm just going to play David Johnson, even though I don't love the matchup. AJ asked Gage or Edelman. I'm playing Edelman. Cam Newton's playing really, really well right now. It's kind of shocking to me. I mean, I'll admit it. I was hesitant about Cam Newton and what he could do coming back. But my hesitance had more to do with what he was going to do on the ground, because he's a 31-year-old coming off surgery and whatnot. We see bigger quarterbacks, mobile quarterbacks, tend to break down. But he looks fantastic. And his arm looked better than ever. Honestly, like, he's looked really good. So I'm going to play Julian Edelman in that matchup. Just feels like it's safer than Gage right now. Full PPR flex for Ronald. Gage, Lazard, Cooks, or Darrell Henderson. I'm going to play Darrell Henderson. Give me the running back with the guaranteed touches. Again, with Cam Akers out, with Malcolm Brown, a broken finger, they're not going to use him a whole lot in the passing game, so Darrell Henderson should catch some passes. I would imagine he's going to catch 3 or 4 balls in this game. That's going to bring up his floor, and even if he doesn't score a touchdown. So I'll play Darrell Henderson there. All right, going to work some more of the questions for you guys. Thank you guys again so much for being here. All right, Julio is out. That's apparently news. I'm being told this in the chat, so thank you guys for breaking that to me. I got NFL Network on there in the back. I haven't seen it pop up yet, but I believe you guys are telling me the truth here. Julio Jones is out. Obviously, Calvin Ridley, he was already a must start, so we're not going to change that. Gage's target floor goes up. I actually think this probably helps Todd Gurley's targets. Hayden Hurst, the targets have to go somewhere. I would imagine they're probably going to try and run the ball a little bit, but the Bears' run defense is legit. So thanks for the heads up, guys. All right, let's see. Mike Davies asks, half PPR, Dalton Schultz or DJ Moore in my flex? DJ Moore. I mean, I'm worried about DJ Moore this week. Don't get me wrong, but not that worried. Not that worried. Science asks, non-PPR format for flex. Should I start Mixon at Philly or Deontay Johnson versus Houston? I'm taking the running back still at this point. I understand Deontay Johnson. I like him a lot this week. I'm playing him in DFS. I'm playing him in my lineups. But if it comes down to a flex spot and that's your choice, that means you're in a good spot. I have Deontay Johnson as a top 16 wide receiver this week, but Mixon as a top 15 running back. So I'll take the running back and the guaranteed touches. All right. Let's see. I think I'm all caught up there for most of them. Let's see. Manish asks, Reed or Henry for tight end. I'm going to play Hunter Henry. I don't want to take too much from 1 week of Jordan Reed being out there. He didn't even play all the snaps. And now, obviously, it's Nick Mullins. Both touchdowns that Reed caught last week were from Jimmy Garoppolo. So I don't want to take too much from that. I'm going to play Hunter Henry here. It's a good matchup against Carolina. I just worry about the volume in that game. Jose asked, 2 flex spots, Marvin Jones, Fant, or Lazard. Marvin Jones and Fant would be my 2 options there. Again, not a great matchup for Denver this week against Tampa. Tampa's been playing really well. We don't know how things are going to work with Jeff Driscoll, but he's been competent. He looked decent last week. Fant played well against a tough Pittsburgh defense, so I don't want to bench him. Lazard is going to be in a tough matchup against the Saints. The Saints, it's a really good defense. Their cornerback talent all over the field is just so damn good that I can't say I'd play Lazard over those guys. All right, guys. Dan is also answering some questions in the chat. So Dan Harris, thank you for stopping by and answering some questions. He's also answering some of those who did some of the super chat options as well. So thank you guys so much again for all these questions. Appreciate it. Let's see. Diggs or Marquise Brown in standard from Pete Wheeler. I'm going to go with Marquise Brown here. Diggs, I don't have Diggs too low. I think I'm at wide receiver 21, and I think I have Marquise Brown at like wide receiver 19. So it's close between those two. I don't think either of them come with a great floor. Again, Diggs matching up with Jalen Ramsey, and then you have Marquise Brown in a matchup against the Chiefs, who so many people want to say the Chiefs they're terrible. Like, teams are going to fall behind. They're going to throw on the Chiefs and this and that, and they want to stack them in tournaments and whatever. That has not been the case. Actually, last year, most people would be shocked to know the Chiefs allowed the fewest yards to wide receivers in the National Football League. That's a real thing, which is just nuts, though. But again, they're probably down their top 2 cornerbacks in this game, so that's obviously upgrading the matchup. And Marquis Brown, I mean, this is projected to be a higher scoring game, whereas Stephon Diggs, not so much. So I'm going to play Marquise Brown, take the upside there. Big Red asked, half PPR, Darren Waller or Jonnu Smith? Oh, I have Darren Waller slightly higher, but it's not like I feel so incredibly great about this. I would actually look to trade one of those, man. Darren Waller, my concern for him this week is that he's going to get Stephon Gilmore in coverage. Stephon Gilmore is a shutdown corner, obviously. He takes on the big wide receivers in the NFL. And Darren Waller, that's what he is. He's a wide receiver in a tight end's body. And the Saints had no answer. They were putting safeties and linebackers on him. It didn't matter. You have to put a big cornerback on that guy to slow him down. And knowing that Henry Ruggs is out, the targets are going to come his way. He can still win in matchups. That's why I'm going to say Darren Waller. But I am a little worried about his production to where I'm not playing him in DFS this week. Let's see. The Fletch. Pick 2, start. All right, pick 2, sit 1. Deshaun Jackson, Jerry Jeudy, Allen Lazard. So you're going to play Deshaun Jackson. He's the given one. And then basically when it comes down to Jeudy and Allen Lazard, they're both slot receivers. Judy's matchup is slightly better. The quarterback play is obviously worse. This one's tough. This one's really tough. I think I would lean Jerry Jeudy, but it's really close. That's a really good question, and one that I wish I had a more clear answer for you. But Deshaun Jackson's definitely one of them, and then the other one, I'd probably play Jeudy. Daniel asked Jonnu Smith or Mike Davis. I'd go Mike Davis there. Cole asked PPR, Corey Davis or Joshua Kelly. I'm going to go Joshua Kelly. I mean, Corey Davis has not, outside of the game where Ryan Tannehill threw the ball 40 times, Corey Davis is basically touchdown or bust. So Joshua Kelly should score a touchdown in this game against Carolina. Carolina has allowed 33 rushing touchdowns over the last 18 games. No other team in the NFL has allowed more than 19 in that time. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, Joshua Kelly. Let's see, Jamar. Let's see. I traded D-Hop and Hunt for Derrick Henry and Tyreek Hill. Solid? Oh yeah. You sold high on DeAndre Hopkins because he's not going to get 18 targets or whatever it was, 16 targets that he got in his first game. Things are going to come back down. Now Christian Kirk being hurt, I don't know what that means. I don't know if he's been playing hurt or whatever the case is. But Kyler Murray only averages over the course of his career, it's under 7 yards per attempt. So you kind of need those targets to get the production out of DeAndre Hopkins. And it's not to say he's not going to be fine. He is perfectly fine. I think if we were drafting today, I'd probably take DeAndre Hopkins over Tyreek Hill. But the fact that you went from Hunt to Derrick Henry, that's a no-brainer for me. I think you bought low on Henry, and I think it was fantastic. Wes asked David Johnson, Mike Davis, or Latavius Murray for standard flex. Ooh, David Johnson and Mike Davis both have terrible matchups. Latavius Murray got 3 carries last week. And I say that very upset because I bet the over on his carries in that game, and that obviously did not work out. So I am I'm a little peeved off at the Saints, and it wouldn't shock me if Latavius scores 2 touchdowns. It wouldn't shock me at all. But who am I going to go with, David Johnson or Mike Davis? I'm going to go with David Johnson because I know that he's the one getting 100% of the touches in his backfield, whereas Mike Davis, I can't say the same thing about. They did call up, let's see. All right. They did call up their running back from the practice squad. They're going to involve Curtis Samuel out of the backfield a little bit. DJ Moore can take a couple handoffs. So I think it's going to be somewhat shared, whereas David Johnson, at least we know he's getting 100% of the work. So I'd go David Johnson. Rich asked AJ Green, Jeff Wilson, or Goddard standard flex if Julio is out. Julio is out, by the way, Rich. We got news not long ago. The chat also likes to let everybody know. So thank you guys again for that. So Julio is out. AJ Green, Jeff Wilson, or Goddard. Oh, I'm probably going to play Dallas Goddard of those options. I do like Jeff Wilson. I'm going to be clear. I have him at RB28, so I don't think that he's like a guaranteed lock, must play. But I do think that there's a real opportunity for him to get 15 touches in that game. There is some risk with it, though. I don't think there's much risk with Goddard, so I'm going to take him. Let's see. John asked, half PPR. Pick 2, Galladay, Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson, Tyler Boyd. Good problem to have, buddy. I would play Deontay Johnson for sure. And then you look over and you say, Keenan Allen or Galladay. because Tyler Boyd's out of the question for me. Tyler Boyd, the matchup with Nickell Robey-Coleman in Philadelphia, that's a tough matchup for him. So Galladay coming off the hamstring injury, or Keenan Allen healthy against the Carolina defense with the gentleman's name that's going to be covering Keenan Allen this week is Corn Elder. Keenan Allen. I'm going to go him because, again, I actually like Galladay more than most, and I think I'm higher on him than the consensus. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that he doesn't come with some risk this week. If he tweaks that hamstring, you're left with a donut in your lineup. So I'm going to go with Keenan Allen and Deontay Johnson. Mix. I've been offered Saquon and Tannehill for Daniel Jones in CEH in a Dynasty Superflex League. Would you do the trade? Let me go back. So it's Saquon and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Okay. I mean, I still lean Saquon a little bit, but not much. And then Tannehill. I lean Tannehill, I think, over Daniel Jones. So I would take Saquon and Tannehill. I would. Daniel Jones, I'm a little worried about. He reminds me, and I know people are going to take this the wrong way. Daniel Jones reminds me a little bit of Mitch Trubisky. I believe that there's really some really crazy highs for him, and I think there's some really bad lows. And I just don't know. I mean, I'm not a big fan. Tannehill has been really good. If they continually surround him, so they didn't pick up Corey Davis's option. So basically they have A.J. Brown and Adam Humphries, which means the Titans are probably going to be drafting a wide receiver next year. So Ryan Tannehill could suddenly have, two legitimate wide receivers out there for him. So I would take the Saquon side of that trade. So good luck with that. All right, let me take a sip for a second and get some more questions. By the way, if you guys haven't yet, please do me a favor. Click that like button, subscribe. All right. Gonna answer some questions here. Walter Meza, PPR flex, Anthony Miller, Tariq Cohen, or Leonard Fournette. I mean, Anthony Miller, I like the player, hate the situation, hate the fact that they're using him as a part-time player. Tariq Cohen hasn't been used nearly enough. The matchup's fantastic for him. But again, I mean, if he's only getting a handful of targets per game, you can't really trust him. So I guess we're gonna take the shot with Leonard Fournette here. Dan Harris, of the Fantasy Pros podcast, has basically told me he's trusting Fournette as an RB2 this week. I'm not quite there, but do I think it's possible? Sure. So I would take him. Again, we don't know. We know Miller's not a full-time player. We know Tariq Cohen hasn't been used as much as he probably should be. So why not go with Fournette? Will Mather, Burrow, or Watson? Deshaun Watson. Yeah. I don't think so I think a lot of people are stuck on last year when it comes to the Eagles pass defense, and they're saying, hey, it's a defense you want to attack. After adding Darius Slay and Nickell Robey-Coleman, that's a different secondary and not one that you need to attack. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Mixon has a better day than people think, because the front is where they're lacking the linebackers. Let's see. With Julio out, do I go Gage, Brown, or Anderson? I don't know what Brown that is. Is it Marquis Brown? Yeah, got to be more specific with the Brown because there's a lot of different ones. Jeff asks, Breeze, Herbert, or Trubisky? Trubisky has the highest ceiling. Honestly, that's what I would say. I mean, you're playing with fire. Breeze is not a bad play. I think my rankings probably have Breeze slightly higher than Trubisky, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that the ceiling's not higher for Trubisky. It is. Steven asked, Goddard or Waller? I have Goddard higher, and I know a lot of people would tell me that I'm stupid and I'm nuts and all that stuff, but I don't really care. Goddard is my guy. I went through the matchup this week against the Bengals, and I said, I don't know which one I'd start. I really don't. I think we're now to the point where I just don't know which one I'd rather play between Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. But fortunately, against this defense, with 3 new linebackers missing a starting safety, you're going to be able to throw the ball to the tight ends in this matchup. So Ertz and Goddard, I think, can both produce. All right, let's see. Elliot asks, Henderson or Jeff Wilson in half PPR? I'm going to go with Darrell Henderson considering that Cam Akers is out. I understand it's not a great matchup. It's really not, but it's not terrible either. Buffalo, under Sean McDermott, they've essentially allowed an average of 1 rushing touchdown per game, which is a lot. And Darrell Henderson going to be the primary pass catching option with Malcolm Brown with a broken finger, Cam Akers out. So again, I'm gonna play it safe here with Henderson. I think Wilson he might even have a better shot at a touchdown, but I'm gonna say Henderson. Jerry Chen asked Deontay Johnson, Robert Woods, or David Montgomery in a half PPR. This one's tough for me. It comes down to Deonte Johnson or David Montgomery. This is a good problem to have, obviously, Jerry, because that means your roster is so good that you have to choose between these guys. And by the way, if you're having trouble choosing between like 3 players in a flex spot in your league, this is where you probably should be making some trades. You can combine 2 players and upgrade for 1. Use it as an advantage that people are really hurting with injuries right now. Go after those teams that are hurting. You might be able to get a top tier player and give them some depth in return. But in regards to that question, I'd probably go with David Montgomery in the guaranteed touches, but I kind of wanted to say Deontay Johnson. But again, usually when you're torn between a wide receiver and running back, it's best to take the guaranteed touches. Tyler asked Joshua Kelly or Clyde Edwards-Helaire in PPR. This is Edwards-Helaire. I like Joshua Kelly this week, but he gets ticked down in PPR formats, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire caught 6 passes last week. I mean, Baltimore, if there is one small area to attack, I guess it's on the ground. So I'm going to go Clyde Edwards-Helaire there. Rude asks DJ Moore, Allen Lazard, or Slayton full PPR. I go with DJ Moore. I am worried about the matchup, but he's still a guy that's going to get 8 targets. Darius Slayton is like the high upside option as a guy that I think some people are overlooking because they see the matchup with the 49ers and they worry about. I'd be starting Darius Slayton this week in most leagues. And again, it just depends on who you have in your roster. Because you have DJ Moore, I'm playing him, but Slayton I have at wide receiver 25 this week, so he's going to be started in most leagues. William Rogers need 2 wide receivers, half point. Juju, Deontay Johnson, Robert Woods, DJ Moore. All right, so there's 4 receivers here. We got to bench 2 of them. Yeah, I'm going to play Juju and Deontay. I'm going to play them over Woods and DJ Moore. Yeah, I know there's 2 Steelers wide receivers, but that's cool. Let's see, Mike Davis or Leonard Fournette. Mike Davis, it's just a guaranteed role. I mean, Fournette could have the higher ceiling for sure, but I don't want to pretend that Denver's a team that you need to start a running back against though either. So I'm going to play Mike Davis and just take the guaranteed role, even if it is a bad matchup. Let's see. Kyle Smith asked Mixon or Kelly. Mixon. I like Kelly, but I'm playing Mixon. Sam asked, apologize, but they listed 8 players, can't answer. Sam, thank you for auditing the chat, I guess. Ticket Pro, full PPR, pick 2, Ridley, DJ Moore, Juju, Deontay, Robert Woods. Picking 2 of 5 receivers. I mean, you're playing Ridley. You're not sitting Calvin Ridley. Stop. And then Juju Smith-Schuster would be my other one. I think I still think I'm playing Juju over Deontay. It's close, though. So Ridley and Juju. Eric asked Joshua Kelly or Jerick McKinnon. Joshua Kelly is my pick. Carlos Luckett, Washington or New England defense. I'm going to go with New England. That Raiders team is missing, Henry Ruggs, like their best receiver. If Stephon Gilmore takes away Darren Waller, I just don't know what they're going to do. I don't know how they're moving the ball. Josh Jacobs is banged up a little bit. New England has done well against the run. Warren Armstrong, pick 1. Deontay Johnson, Mike Davis, or McKinnon Wilson. Deontay Johnson for sure. That's where I would go with that one. All right, so let's see. Gonna get some more questions over here. All right, David Berry asked N'Keal Harry, Devonta Adams, or Deshaun Jackson. I mean, you're not playing Devonta Adams. I don't think he's playing. I think N'Keal Harry has a decent matchup against the Raiders, but I'm going to play Deshaun Jackson over him. Michael asked Mike Williams or Valdez-Scantling. It's a good question. Valdez-Scantling is interesting now with Devonta Adams looking like he's a no-go. But I really, for whatever reason, and again, you guys can come back and yell at me next week if you want. You could, you could do whatever. It's like a DFS thing, I guess, for me. But Mike Williams, I think that there's real 2 touchdown potential. That's basically what it comes down to. I think that's a real thing. It's a tournament shot, yes, but I think I'd probably go Mike Williams. The matchup's just better. That's all. Full PPR, pick 3 running backs. Taylor, Hilaire, Connor, Drake. Dude, Adam, you have too many running backs here. Like, I don't even know how you get all these guys. Jonathan Taylor's a must-play. Got to play him. Drake is a must-play. Got to play him. And then it comes down to Connor or Hilaire. I'll go with Connor. I actually like Connor more than most this week. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think he'll be fine, but I'm going to play James Conner over him. But, dude, like, seriously, those running backs, good. Cynthia asks Smith or Henry for tight end PPR. Smith. Why am I drawing a blank right now? Smith. Is this Irv Smith? What Smith am I forgetting? Jonnu Smith. Oh, geez. I'm dumb, and I'm sorry about that. I just looked at it. Jonnu Smith, I have at 8. Hunter Henry, I have at 7. It's a toss-up between those two. I worry about volume for both of them. It's really tough. I have Henry one spot higher. Let's see. Oh, Sam, I'm sorry. That's what happened. Sam, there was a question with 8 players. I'm sorry, Sam. But thank you so much for the donation. Thank you all you guys. You guys have been awesome with this. Like, you've been killing it today. James Ferry. I don't want to mispronounce that, but James, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And Logan Thomas or Jonnu Smith, 12-team full PPR. I'm going to go Jonnu here. Logan Thomas is a fine guy in like DFS, or he's a guy that, people were able to grab off the waiver wire and stream, but you have to worry about Dwayne Haskins on a weekly basis. You don't know who's going to show up. You don't know what's going to happen. And Jonnu has been just so lights out with the volume that he's been getting. A.J. Brown out. It raises the target floor. So thank you so much, James. I would go with Jonnu. Salvador asked full PPR, sit 1. Josh Jacobs, James Conner, Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. You have to sit one of those guys. I guess you're sitting Kareem Hunt. It sucks to do it, but you're starting Nick Chubb, you're starting Josh Jacobs, and you're starting James Conner. So that's what I would do. Pat, half PPR flex spot, Deontay Johnson or David Montgomery. I think I answered this one already. I think you have to go with the guaranteed touches from Montgomery, but it's really, really close. Really close, Pat. Ariel Fernandez, choose 2 wide receivers, half PPR. DJ Moore, Deontay Johnson, and Odell Beckham Jr. I would go with Odell Beckham Jr. and Deontay Johnson. DJ Moore, the reason that you want to play him is because you're like, well, he's going to get targeted. I know it's a terrible matchup, but he's going to get targeted, and you don't want to overrate the cornerback matchup. You could say the same exact thing about the other 2 guys, but they don't have bad matchups. Deontay Johnson, 31.5% target share. Odell Beckham Jr., obviously getting a high target share when they do target wide receivers there. So that's the route I would go there. Let's see. Do flex position Hines or Anderson? I'm guessing that's Robbie Anderson. With the common last names, you guys got to use the initials. Otherwise, I have no idea. And sometimes the names just blend together, to be honest with you. But I guess I'm going to go with Robbie Anderson, take the upside, because Hines coming off a one-touch game. I don't know how to treat Hines, honestly. It was Jekyll and Hyde. We just don't know what to do. Let's see. Michael asked, full PPR, should I put Swift or David Johnson in my flex? In a full PPR, I might actually take the chance with Swift. It's close. I do have David Johnson higher, but I understand wanting to go with Swift in a game that has a crazy high over-under. We should continue to see Swift distance himself from the pack as he gets healthier, as he gets more accustomed to the NFL. Swift has higher upside. I'm going to say that. David Johnson safer, Swift higher upside. Private Lockett or Moore? I'd play Lockett. I have Lockett as a top 10 play. Let's see. All right. Duncan for president. McKinnon, Fournette, or Fuller, half PPR. I guess we're going to go Fournette here. I'm going to take a page out of Dan's book and just say play Fournette. I'm not sold on McKinnon as a guy that's going to see more than 10 touches. I think they're going to involve him in the passing game. He's going to get some dump-offs. He might get, let's say, 5 to 8 carries, but I do think it's Jeff Wilson's backfield. So I'm a little worried about him. Fournette, even if he shares a workload, he should get 10-plus touches. And then Fuller coming off the injury, it's like, and then playing against Pittsburgh, just a terrible matchup. So that is where I would go there. All right, let's go on to the dread neck. Nice. Stephon Diggs or Deontay Johnson. I'd play Deontay Johnson personally. Cheyenne Kluwer, full PPR flex, pick 1. Montgomery, Mike Davis, or Joshua Kelly. I have Joshua Kelly as the top one of these, which is kind of crazy when you think that Montgomery is the lead running back. But I think there's enough carries to go around for Kelly and Austin Eckler to kind of do their thing. But I have Kelly and Montgomery right next to each other in the rankings. So it's very close. It's a good question. But I have Kelly. Wait, hold on a second. This is where I have to go back, and I have to say this is a full PPR. I think that's where it makes the difference. I think I go with Montgomery there. Because he is one spot behind in half PPR, and I've already mentioned that Joshua Kelly goes a notch down in full PPR. Let's see, full PPR: DJ Moore, Russell Gage, Michael Gallup, or Corey Davis for Julio. You got to play DJ Moore, I think. Again, I don't think there's much of a ceiling here, but I think there's a floor, and that's what you're looking for when you replace Julio. Russell Gage comes with a decent floor too. Gallup comes with a ceiling, but the floor has been so low. 10 targets through 2 games, not great. So I'd play DJ Moore. Let's see, Devonta Freeman or Swift in a standard. I would play Swift. He's not worth as much in a standard format, but Devonta Freeman, we don't know how much he's going to play in his first game. It seems like Dion Lewis might get carries. Wayne Gallman's probably going to be active. All right, let's see. Who should I start a flex? McKinnon, Montgomery, or Galladay in a full PPR? I'd play Montgomery. Because, again, Galladay is the type of guy where it's like, if you're choosing between Galladay and someone I have ranked as like a wide receiver 4, I'm going to play Galladay. I'll take the risk with him. But if you have someone that's a guy that's going to score, 10 plus PPR points, 15 plus PPR points, like a David Montgomery, I'm playing them guys over Galladay because, again, you don't want to risk like being left with like a 0 in your lineup. So, nope. I don't know where that one went, but whatever. I'm working my way through these as much as I can. David asked, Mike Davis or Mark Ingram in a half PPR. I would play Mark Ingram. Loro asked, Swift or Mike Davis for flex full PPR. I think I have to go Mike Davis there. Again, he's leading that timeshare. Difficult matchup, but that's where I would go. We don't even know what's going on in Detroit. Adrian Peterson should get goal line carries, but Swift got one. Carry-on got one. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing there. Carry-on's more of a PPR play for me. Let's see. Robert Woods with his matchup or John Brown. Full PPR for David. David, I'd go Robert Woods there. That's where I would draw the line. John Brown's matchup is not great either. Marcus asks, full PPR, Juju, Edelman, Gage, or Keenan Allen. I mean, if I get to pick one of them, it's Juju. Johnny asked David Johnson or Deontay Johnson at flex in a PPR. I'd play Deontay Johnson over David Johnson this week. The ceiling's not there with David Johnson. I was looking at this actually when I was writing the primer this week. And if you guys have not seen it, by the way, I write the primer every week. It has a full paragraph on every player from every game, reciting a lot of the things I talk about in this, just to further in depth. But I write that thing so that you guys can always go to it if I can't get to your question. The Steelers, dating back to the beginning of last year, they have not allowed an RB1 performance. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, no running back has scored more than 17 PPR points against them. It's nuts. Just so good. Let's see. Matthew asks, pick 2 full PPR, Woods, Galladay, and Slayton. This is one where I think you have 2 guys that I'd probably play over Galladay. It's close between Woods and him. But I would go with Woods and Slayton over Galladay, just because, again, I would rather play it be safe than sorry. And if Galladay goes off, great. You have him back at full health. But if anybody's shadowing, if Patrick Peterson is shadowing anybody in that matchup, it would be Kenny Galladay. All right, let's see. Hey, Tags, appreciate all your advice. I appreciate you guys being here. Flex spot, Marvin Jones, Nyheim Hines, or Russell Gage, assuming Julio does not play. Julio is not playing. That's probably one where I might go with I'd probably go with Russell Gage if you're looking for a floor, if it's a PPR format. If it's half PPR and you're looking for more of a ceiling, I'd go with Marvin Jones, but I think Russell Gage is probably the smartest play of the bunch there. All right, guys, Yates is actually going to be starting up his live show right now. And if you guys have done any donations, thank you so much. It's been a wild success today, more than I think that any of us could have imagined or hoped for. We appreciate all of you. But Yates is going to be taking over to answer the rest of your guys' questions. So tune in once I get out of here, once I click off. Make sure you guys go check into Yates. He's going to answer the remaining questions you guys have. He's going to be on for a full hour. But thank you guys so much for supporting the stream today. We greatly appreciate it. And until next week, lights out.